something, go back to your seats. Okay, once you've got something, go back to your seats. Can only do one thing each. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We'll see whether, okay. Okay, you're doing well so far. Okay, thank you. That goes there. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Oh, you guys are doing great. Okay, once you grab something, go back to your seats. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, you guys are doing well. Have you found something?
I found something.
Thank you. You got the letter? Do you think this is normally here? Well, you want to ask somebody? See if other people know. Ask one of the grown-ups nearby. See if they think that this is new. Okay, you can take this off. Take that off. Okay, thank you. Okay, go back to your seats now. Now, I'm aware of at least, I can see two things. Oh, well done. You spotted that one. That was up high. Okay, I can see at least, and not that camera. That camera's going to be, that's for later on. Well done, you got that one. Okay, now I can only, with people here, it's hard to tell where if everybody's got things. I know there's at least one other thing. I think that, yeah, we've got to make sure we get all those letters, please. Please. Otherwise, I will have to improvise. There's still one other item, and it's not a letter. One other item up near the front. Can I have, is there a child here who hasn't grabbed something? You grabbed something already. You got it. Thank you. Okay. Now, I could count them to make sure that they're all there, or I could just hope that they're all there. I'm going to hope that they are all there. Okay, so what you've done, you did great in the hunt. You were able to find the different things, and I want us to see if from these different things, actually no, there is one other thing. There is one other thing, and it's near the back of the church. Near the back of the church. You're very, very warm. Very, very warm. That's the one. Okay, you bring that on up. Well done. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, I really do hope this is different. Okay, so we're going to use these things to see if we can find out what is so important about Easter. We're going to see if it gives us a message. So, you had an Easter egg hunt, so I'm going to, I think I should open up the egg. We'll see if it helps us understand what Easter is about. So I'm going to see if I can open up this egg and see if, it's some mini eggs. Is this what Easter is all about? Who said yes? Amanda said yes. Mrs. Siegel said yes. Okay, so it's not just about, certainly not. That's not the most important thing. And Amanda, have some eggs. So let's try this egg. See if it helps us understand what's so important about Easter. Let's see if I can open up this egg. There we go. A bunny! Is Easter all about bunnies? Now those of you who think I'm going to toss you the Easter bunny, if you say yes, you're... No, it's mine. I'm keeping him there. I might need him another year. Okay, so we tried 2 eggs and no success so far. You think I should try this one? See if this is going to have the... I think because we've had 2 imply that, I mean, we got them wrong? I think I'm gonna put this down, because I don't really think that's going to tell us all about Easter. Okay, my turn to talk. You guys can talk later on, maybe. I'm actually going to start, you know what, it all starts with God. God started. And God, at the very, very beginning, God had love. He had a heart that was bursting with love. At the very beginning, God had a heart that was bursting with love. See, this love is even bigger than the heart here. God's love was his heart was bursting with love. And so God, at the very beginning, he wanted to share his great love. And so, at the very beginning, God created the world. And he made a perfect world, and in that world he made land, he made oceans, he made rivers, he made trees, he made mountains, he made animals, he made all sorts of things. And when he looked at what he'd made, he said, "It is really, really good." But God still had more love. His heart was still bursting with love, and he wanted to share that love with others. And so, God created people. Now, I want to tell you about somebody else who was with God. Near the beginning, there were angels up in heaven with God. And they were friends of God, and they would do the things that God asked them to do. But you know what? There was one angel who wasn't very good. You see, we've got some angel wings, and see what's the matter with this angel wing? It's broken. It's not a complete set of angel's wings. And there was an angel in heaven that wanted to be the boss. There was an angel that wanted to take control and wanted God to do what the angel wanted him to do. And so that angel could no longer stay in heaven with God. Now, I said that God created, because his heart was bursting with love, he wanted to create people. So he made people, and he said to the people, "You can stay with me." And so we've got here a flower. Now, who can tell me, where do you find flowers? Outside? Yes, very good. In a garden. We find flowers in a garden. I want to tell you about the very first garden. The garden was God's special garden, and it was full of all sorts of beauty. And God said to the people, "You can stay in this garden with me, and you can always be close to me, and we can be in this garden together." And in that garden, God was with them, and I think they probably played with God. They might have played tag with God or hide and seek with God. They had great fun with God in this beautiful, beautiful garden. But God said to the people, "You can stay here, but the only thing is, you have to make sure that you don't do one thing. You don't eat from a tree that I've got in the garden. Don't eat the fruit from a tree in the garden." And so at first they stayed away, as far away from the tree. But you know what? That bad angel still wanted people to be listening to him and not to God. So he went up to the people in the garden and said, "You know what? I think it's a good idea to eat from that tree. So why don't you come with me and let's have a bite?" And so the people, they thought, well, maybe he's telling the truth. And so they went with him, and they ate from the tree. And you know what the angel said to the people? "April Fools." Tricked you. Because it wasn't a good thing. Because God discovered that they had done what they weren't supposed to do. And so they were told they could no longer be in the garden with God. And so they became prisoners of sin. And so, like handcuffs were placed on them, they were prisoners to the sin in their life, and they had to then move out of the garden. They could no longer stay in the garden. Now, who was it who brought the keys?
No key.
Let me just see here. See if any of these keys, you see if any of those keys might fit. You think it's this little tiny hole, you think there's anything small enough for there? I kind of don't think so, you know. I'm going to have to put this in here, and maybe I'm just going to have to, I guess I'm just going to have to finish with handcuffs on. So the people, they were prisoners to sin. And they were told they could no longer live in the garden with God. So there was separation between the people and God. And you know what that sin did? When people sinned, it broke God's heart. It broke God's heart because they had done what they weren't supposed to do. And more importantly, the people could no longer be in heaven with God. Now the people, when they had this separation, they wanted to get back together with God. And so they thought, well, maybe if we do some different things, we can get back together with God. So they decided, well, maybe if we pray a little bit more, then God will make it so that we can, those prayers will make it so that we can get back into heaven with God. Do you think it worked? Well, let's see. I'm praying. And let's see if they're still not coming off. So we put that down. So then the people thought, well, maybe if we... No, you sit down, sit down, sit down.
I tried.
You'd think she was a police officer or something. She is, by the way. So, the people had tried praying and it didn't work. The people thought, well, maybe if we read our Bible more, we will make it so that the chains come off and we're no longer prisoners and we can get back together with God. And so, they read their Bible more. Let's see if it works. No, the chains are still there. So then the people thought, well, maybe if we try to be really, really, really good. Now this is going to be hard. If we try to be really, really good, then... Is it straight? No? I'm not good enough. That's the thing. My halo doesn't stay perfect. And that was the same with all the people. That their halos weren't perfect. And so they weren't good enough to unlock the chains. And so they were still prisoners to the sin. So God decided that God would need to do something. Because remember, God's heart was still bursting with love. Even though it was a broken heart, He still had so much love. And so then God decided He would have to come down to the earth. Now, who knows the name of... What do we call the person who was God who came down to the earth? You're right. Think it was Jesus and you were right on. Jesus came down to the earth. And what time of year? What's the time of year that we call it when we remember Jesus being born?
Easter.
Christmas. Right. So we remember Jesus at Christmas. And I think somebody found a star. So this reminds us of the star up in the sky that was out when Jesus was born, and it was to guide all the shepherds and the wise men to the birthplace of Jesus. And so Jesus was born. And who remembers the name of the place where he was born? Where was Jesus born? Bethlehem, right on. Okay, so Jesus was born in Bethlehem. And so when Jesus was born, after a while, he did some things with his family for a while, and then he went out to teach people, and he talked to people about God, and he wanted to bring people closer to God. And he did different miracles too. There was one time that Jesus went to a wedding, and they ran out of wine. And Jesus' mom went up to Jesus and said, "Could you please help?" Because he had done some, he could do some miracles. And so Jesus' mom said, "Could you help?" And so Jesus told the servants to go and get some water and pour them into a jug. And so they poured the water into a jug. And look at that. Out came some wine. That's what happened. Jesus did it much better than I did, I can assure you. But he did it, and all the water became wine. And there were other miracles that Jesus did too. Jesus, he walked on water. Jesus calmed a storm by saying to the storm, "Be quiet." There was a man who had never walked for his entire life, and Jesus made it so the man could walk. Jesus did many, many miracles. And lots of people, they loved Jesus. They thought he was the one to become the king. And so one day when Jesus came into a great city, they wanted to hail him as their king. What's this called? Who can tell me what this is? Branch, yes? You know what kind of branch? You know? Pardon me? Palm tree branch, yes! Okay, now palm tree branches, back when Jesus was around, they reminded people of victory and royalty. Royalty means like kings and queens. And so people, they cut down the branches from the trees and they waved them in the air to say, "Jesus, you have the victory and you are our king." And so they waved all the branches around and hailed Jesus as the king. A lot of people liked Jesus. But you know what? There were some people who didn't like Jesus. They didn't like Jesus. They wanted to get rid of Jesus. They thought of all sorts of ways that they could arrest him, and they really wanted to kill him. And so they decided, after that Palm Sunday, they decided they were going to do something about it. They were going to do something about Jesus. So what happened on the Friday after Palm Sunday? So that was just a couple days ago. We remembered the special day. What happened? What's the day we call it? What day do we call it? Somebody who hasn't answered the question. Callum. Good Friday. Yep. And what happened to Jesus on Good Friday? Who can tell me? What happened to Jesus on Good Friday? Jesus died. Where did he die? Jesus died on a cross. People, they got a hammer and they got some nails and they hammered the nails. Look how big these nails are. They hammered the nails right through his hands, through both hands, and right through his feet. And they put Jesus on a cross. The cross was even bigger than that one. They put Jesus on the cross, and I can't demonstrate how he looked, but with one arm over here and one arm over there, and he stretched out his arms, and he died. He died on the cross. And you know what? People, they thought, when they first put him up there, those who loved him, they thought, well, maybe he's just going to come down. Before he dies, maybe he will say April Fools, and he'll just come down, and he will get off of the cross, and everything will be fine. But Jesus didn't do that. Jesus stayed on the cross until he stopped breathing, and he died. And some people were very sad that Jesus had died. And so they took his body down from the cross, and they wrapped the body in bandages. Now, we don't do that to bodies today, but back in those days, they used to wrap the body entirely in bandages before they would put the body into a tomb. Now I've got some bandages here, and so I've wrapped this here. Just a reminder of the body being wrapped, body of Jesus being wrapped after he came down from the cross on Good Friday. Now, anybody tell me what this maybe kind of looks like as well? Now, I don't know how good a craft person I am, so we'll see whether it worked. But who can tell me? You can take a guess. A cocoon. Give me 5. Yes. A cocoon. What goes into a cocoon? What is it when it first goes into a cocoon? A caterpillar, yes. And a caterpillar, it looks like it's died. When it goes into the cocoon, it looks like it's died inside. And then something happens and it comes out. Now I'm gonna cut this open. It might be a little bit hard with these handcuffs on.
Cut his hand open.
Let's see. Want to have a look inside? Come on, inside. A butterfly. Can you try and grab that out? Because I can't. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so inside the cocoon was a little butterfly. It's not a moth. Is that what he said? It's a monarch butterfly, I think. Okay. Okay, let's not compete with me, okay? Okay, so we've got, out of the cocoon, the caterpillar had become a butterfly. What looked like it was dead came back to life different. And that reminds us of what happened after Jesus had gone to the cross, and he came off the cross, was bandaged up, and he came back to life on Easter Sunday. I kind of think we should probably just. Should we open this now? Okay. I don't know whether I can do this. I did not practice this one before. Okay, you want to open this? Just squeeze it a little hard together in the middle, right on those joints. You squeeze it. It should pop open. Oh, it's hard, isn't it? It should just pop. Well, there's a bit of tape, but the tape should break. There we go. Okay. And what do we have inside? Nothing. You know what? That is something that's important about Easter, because when the people went to the tomb to find Jesus on Easter Sunday morning, they went inside the tomb and they found nothing, because there was no body in the tomb. Now, I still have some handcuffs on. You could help? Well, I'm not sure you could. But I think that maybe one of these things up here might be able to help us. Do you think well, there was nothing inside the egg. What else should I look at again to see if it might help us? What was it that was most important? Where did Jesus have to go first for there to be an Easter Sunday? Where did Jesus have to go first?
Easter Bunny.
It's not the Easter Bunny. No. The Easter Bunny is not helping us here. Where did Jesus go? Pardon? He went to the cross. I'm going to have a look at this cross. Look at the cross. Oh, you know, there's something on the back of this cross. Look at this. Doesn't look like a regular key. But you think I should try it? Let's try it and see what happens. Can I get it off? I will tell you in a minute. I need my glasses on. I can't even see the hole. Ah! Okay, Margaret, you can have your handcuffs back. Just to let you know, that's the first time I've ever worn handcuffs. So, we have, once again, we're free from the sin. No, sin was no longer keeping us prisoner. The people, because the sin wasn't keeping them prisoner, that meant that they could then be back together with God. And God still had a heart that is bursting with love. God wants us to know that His heart is bursting with love for every single one of us. He wants us always to know that He always, always has a heart full of love. Now, looking at the cross there, I think it looks a bit plain. So I think I'm going to get, could I have some young people, three of the youth group aged people, youth group aged. So Andrew, Luke, and Callum, or Ben, sure, yeah, youth group age. So they're going to hold these baskets of flowers. We're going to have the music group. They're going to be singing some songs, and I want everyone to come up, and the youth group members will hand you a flower. And if you can stand near the front of the aisle, you'll just wait. Let's just hang on just a second. Just stay in your seats for a second. Okay? They're going to stand here. Music's going to be playing, and I want you to come and we'll decorate the cross with flowers and make it look a beautiful thing.
Build your kingdom here, let the darkness fear. Show your mighty hand, heal our streets and land. Set your church on fire, win this nation back. Change the atmosphere, build your kingdom. troubled sea. Oh, oh, you are the peace in my troubled